Welcome to the 6th module in this educational series. Here, we will look to develop knowledge, understanding, and skills in the area of public relations, helping you to produce PR strategies that complement your recruitment programs. The module will hopefully also inspire you to improve your personal brand, work towards becoming more innovative, and embrace the recent technological changes in the field. Learners will become better able to understand the interplay between the public relations and marketing functions, building on the principles of marketing and communications introduced in Module 5. This module will benefit those who have little or no knowledge of public relations, as well as more seasoned practitioners. The module is divided into several sections. We will look at the fundamentals of public relations and how best to manage community relationships in the context of donor recruitment programs. We will also consider how to approach integrated communications and the impact of the digital transformation on the work of the donor recruiter. Here are listed the learning objectives of this module. These are to acquire an understanding of the fundamentals of public relations, to appreciate the value of a communications policy, to gain an understanding of PR ethics, and use this to guide your community relationships and engagement activity, to gain knowledge of how to use the integrated communications tools and approach to provide insights into the dynamics and transformation of public relations and marketing towards digital channels of communication. And finally, we will identify the appropriate digital marketing communication tools to deploy for an effective donor recruitment program. Public relations and marketing share much of the same terminology. It is important to understand the language used by practitioners in order to appreciate the opportunities that are available and how PR activity can be used operationally to benefit your program. Here are some terms used in this module. Advertising is a paid-for, non-personal, one-way public communication that draws the public towards a company, brand, product, or service. Various communication channels can be used to inform and influence the target audience to respond in whatever manner is desired by the advertiser. This is often purchase, but in the case of blood services, the call to action is general participation in blood donation. A brand is an intangible asset of an organization as seen in previous module. Although often thought of as just a logo, it is better considered as a set of values associated with a company, product, or service, or perhaps as a promise to the customer. Branding is the promotion of a particular product or company by means of advertising and distinctive design that reflects the values associated with the brand. Brand awareness is the level of consumer consciousness of a company or product and is usually created through internal and external marketing efforts. A campaign is a series of activities that are planned in advance and relate to a specific goal. CIPR is the Chartered Institute of Public Relations. A community is a group of people and institutions that live and/or work in geographical areas that align with an organization's operations. Content strategy refers to creating specific, appealing messages for your campaigns that position your brand appropriately and memorably for your audience. A hashtag is a word or phrase preceded by a hashtag sign. It is used on social media applications such as Twitter to identify messages on a specific topic. A PR strategy is a considered set of ambitions and activities for the best way to communicate key messages in an effort to increase your profile and build brand awareness. PR simply stands for public relations. Publics is a term used for stakeholders in the public relations literature. These are individuals, groups, or communities who need to be influenced if objectives are to be achieved. A PR campaign is a series of activities that are planned in advance and relate to a specific goal. A stakeholder is an individual or group that may be affected by or that could directly or indirectly affect the company's activities, profile, and brand awareness. Tactics are the specific actions you plan and execute to deliver a strategy. A tag allows users to engage individuals with a social media profile when they mention them in a post or comment. In Facebook and Instagram, tagging notifies the recipient and hyperlinks to the tagged profile. Finally, a think tank approach involves bringing together experts to brainstorm on strategies. Key to successful donor recruitment is how well recruiters establish and maintain good relationships with the different publics they engage. Public relations, usually referred to as PR, is a key tool that contributes to success in marketing the donor recruitment program. Here are several PR definitions. The Chartered Institute of Public Relations defined PR as the planned and sustained effort to establish and maintain goodwill and mutual understanding between an organization and its publics. J.C. Holloway defines PR as a set of communication techniques which are designed to create and maintain favorable relations between an organization and its publics. Finally, the Public Relations Society of America promotes PR as a strategic communication process that builds mutually beneficial relationships between an organization and its publics. You will note that these definitions are quite similar, but the key elements are that communications should be strategic, planned, and sustained. You will also appreciate that there is no clear delineation between PR and communication and marketing, a topic addressed in the previous module. Content in this module may therefore cover some of the same ground, but look at similar issues from a slightly different perspective. We now consider some of the fundamentals of public relations, looking firstly at the 5 W's and an H of PR. These describe the foundation of your approach to your daily PR duties. Reflect on these routinely whenever you're communicating with stakeholders. What to say? Be selective in what you say when carrying out recruitment activities in the different communities. Your speech and actions can promote or tarnish the image of your organization. Words are a donor recruiter's tool and should be chosen carefully. The right tools for each job. When to say? Do not rush to give out information. Rather, present it at the right time when your audience is likely to be attentive and receptive. Before disseminating information, be sure that you are personally ready. You should have verified any facts and statistics you plan to use and have anticipated and prepared yourself to respond to frequently asked questions. Whom to say? To whom are you giving out information? Understand your audience and be attentive to their needs. Remember that many communities have gatekeepers and influencers who you will need to have on side, maybe before you address those over whom they have influence. Avoid any situations that might compromise your personal integrity. Why to say? There needs to be a reason for communicating the messages you wish to share. Whether you are being proactive or responding to requests from the media or other stakeholders to provide information, ascertain why the information will be needed and how it will be used. Always remain professional by not divulging unnecessary information or breaching any confidences. Where to say? The selection of media platforms to disseminate information or promote your programs should be made after studying your publics. Community-based platforms that are applicable to your target groups should be used when communicating and promoting community-based activities. These will often be selected on locality, but could be some area of hobby or interest, vocation or place of employment, or some other factor. You should tailor your message for relevance accordingly. Lastly, how to say. Determine how information is going to be disseminated and the nature and reach of the channels to be used. This will guide you on tone of voice, complexity, and similar considerations. There are a number of traits and skills that underpin a competent PR practitioner. These include learning how to be innovative. There are hundreds of messages competing for an individual's attention each day, and your communication will have more cut through if you come up with creative ideas and think outside the box. Responding positively to tension is a necessary skill, as the PR practitioner will often find him or herself on the front line and need to perform calmly and effectively when under fire. Individual initiative is often necessary where there is need to take immediate action before a situation becomes blown out of proportion. Energy, drive, and ambition is perhaps more of a personality trait than a skill, but these are characteristics commonly found in successful PR practitioners and should be cultivated. Another important PR skill is networking. Through networking, you build connections with people from across society and from all types of professions and industry sectors. But of particular value will be those working in the media. These networks can be a great source of help when you have campaigns, such as building activities around World Blood Donor Day, or when you are selling in articles to media titles for publication. Objective thinking is helpful as this enables you to see the world as it is rather than as you would like it to be. This will help frame relevant messages. At the same time, however, you should maintain a flexible attitude, even where your audience holds a different view or is perhaps even hostile to your position. You should seek to understand and respect their perspective, even as you try to promote your own agenda. Finally, friendliness is key, and being likable is an extremely helpful asset that will assist you build and maintain a wide range of personal contacts. Avoid ever being resentful, bitter, or hostile towards others, as this will corrode relationships. Consider living your day-to-day life by the motto, "Talk to strangers." Take an inventory of where you sit with regard to these skills and work to improve those areas where you are less strong. This is also a helpful checklist when recruiting others to work with or for you in a PR capacity. Personal brand development is important. It determines the way others perceive you and therefore the credibility of your message and the judgments they make about the organization you represent. It is also important to your professional competence and career development. The art of building a unique brand for yourself can best be done by conducting a SWOT analysis to ascertain your strengths and weaknesses. The diagram seen here looks at some possible qualities, specifically being hardworking, trustworthy, committed, and creative that you may desire to have. However, there are many others you could consider to be important to use as the basis for developing your personal brand. Consider asking someone to mentor you. The assistance of a third party will help you be more objective and will benefit you in the long term. Here are some tips that will help you bring your personal brand to a new level. These include the need to audit your personal brand. Use that information to determine where your competitive advantage lies. Be sure to be yourself and not try to be like someone you're not in an attempt to gain popularity or respect. A lack of authenticity is easily spotted and will make people wary. Harness the power of positive. See the good in every situation and look for opportunities everywhere. If ever something angers you, wait to calm down before taking any form of action. Lastly, be cautious, especially on social media. What you post there can build trust and credibility over time, but it only takes one careless message to damage that carefully nurtured reputation. While it is good to reveal your personality, there should be no discord between your personal life and professional responsibilities and aspirations. As we have seen, there are strong synergies and overlaps between communications, marketing, and PR. Having looked in the previous module at how to develop a communications plan, we shall not look separately here at the steps to be taken in developing a PR plan because the process is fundamentally the same. Rather, we shall turn our attention to developing a communications policy. This is something that is, regrettably, often absent in many organizations, but working to develop such a policy is highly recommended if you are lacking a document of this type in your own blood establishment. A policy informs both strategy and plan, but is more concerned with the how than with the what. That is to say, the process by which activities are delivered. As such, it has greater longevity and may inform annual plans over successive years. Objectives for a communications policy are both internally and externally focused and are listed on the slide. Of note, internally is that the policy will define how staff are engaged and informed so that everyone throughout an organization has appropriate information and is able to share in achieving the mission. Internal communications is not something that can be left to happen by chance. It needs to be planned and coordinated. In larger organizations, there should ideally be one or more individuals allocated specific responsibility for managing internal communications. Externally, you will notice that communication, to be truly effective, has to be two-way. This can be difficult if stakeholders can contact an organization by letter, email, telephone, etc. An initial contact may not be with the most relevant person or department. The policy will ensure that everyone understands where the inbound communications should be appropriately routed. The policy should cover media handling protocols in some detail. These will define where responsibilities sit and who is allowed to carry out certain communications-related tasks, such as fielding media inquiries and undertaking proactive media engagement. For example, thinking of your own organization, would it be acceptable for a member of the collection team staff to decide to contact the media about some policy-related issue? Or should that same team member talk to a visiting journalist without clearing it with the communication team first? In both cases, the answer is firmly no. This is the sort of clarity that the policy will bring to all staff. That is not to say that only staff from within the communications department should speak to the media. Just that they must be the ones to give approvals and ensure that non-communication professionals have appropriate media training if they are to be put in front of a journalist or camera. The policy or associated operational guidelines can be a repository for your templates and checklists. Here, we see a typical press release template, a model that could be adapted for use in your own organization. And here, we see a checklist for ensuring that all aspects of logistics are considered whenever an event is organized. In reality, each of these summary lines will have a number of detailed actions that sit within a longer checklist. Similar lists can be created for other activities. For example, when giving presentations to your publics, you will want to ensure a certain house style by whoever is delivering the talk. We now turn to look at how to manage community relationships. This section will help you better engage and build relationships with different communities and stakeholders. You will find that a written social protocol is a helpful tool. This is a system of rules that explains the correct conduct and procedures to be followed in formal and other situations. It allows people to be better able to interact with one another and show respect in different cultural settings, and so avoid giving unintended offense. Being mindful of the do's and do nots of protocol will help in the management of community relationships. It is the balance between letting the donor recruiter be themselves and establishing overly rigid standards of behavior for them to follow. A tendency towards formality is generally safer. People are rarely criticized for being overly courteous, but the opposite is certainly true. Similarly, with dress, while on duty, donor recruiters should not be striving to impress others with their individual style and panache, but should default to conservative, modest clothing, especially where they are unsure of their audience. When communicating, language should be clear and jargon avoided, but equally important is what is said. There is a tendency to want to please when answering questions, but when unsure, it is better to say that you will seek clarification and answer later rather than to give out incorrect information, simply in order not to look ill-informed. You will often find engagement opportunities by building on existing relationships, or you may identify new communities. In either case, the 4-step pre-engagement process described here will guide your actions. You should look to understand the community and identify the concerns they have that might act as a barrier to engagement. You will need to understand their social and power structures so as to identify key influencers, without whose support you will be unlikely to succeed. You should then select suitable practices and techniques. If lack of information is an issue, for example, then flyers and posters may be appropriate, or perhaps a group talk. You should start with the intention of making engagement with the community permanent. A one-off initiative is not true engagement. This diagram of the 5-step approach to stakeholder engagement will guide you as you embark on activity. Begin with formulating an engagement strategy. Map your stakeholders and prepare for engagement. You will then engage the community, and from this interaction, identify future needs and opportunities. Here, we consider PR ethics. Ethics includes values such as honesty, loyalty, respect, and integrity. Each community may have its own ethical standards, although there will generally be some consistency and shared values across the population of any given country. You can apply the 4-way test, shown here, to your own decision-making. Another way of contemplating whether your actions are ethical is to consider how you would feel if your intentions or actions were to be published on the front page of a local newspaper. Would you feel proud or ashamed? If the latter, you may be falling short of the standards expected of you. These 5 ethical principles indicate the values and standards that PR practitioners should aspire to. These are the areas of honesty, integrity, trustworthiness, fairness, and caring and concern for others. Media relations involves working with the media for the purpose of informing the public about key activities or fulfilling some other objective. It offers significant advantages over paid-for forms of advertising. This is not least in terms of value, with PR-generated media coverage generally being no cost. However, there are further advantages. Media selection allows you to target groups on the basis of locality or some other criteria. Furthermore, the public generally trusts their selected media, so the messages they carry will have credibility with the audience. A key point to consider is that working with the media is not an easy option. It requires a good deal of understanding of how the media works and what is required. But learning to network and build media contacts has the potential for high returns. Although it is true that media organizations have their own agendas and receive numerous ideas, press releases, and requests every day, many blood services have highly successful media relationships. This is because the human interest stories generated by blood recipients and donors have significant media appeal. Tips for managing successful media engagements include the following. Do your research. Whichever type of media you decide to approach, make sure that you fully understand the medium, the tone, style, and needs of the target audience. Also reflect on the needs of the medium, because although each media organization is driven by its own agenda, there are common elements that will help you approach. All are interested in content that will appeal to their audience, and often this will be locality-based. It is also much more likely that stories with good or interesting accompanying photographs will be selected over those without. Note that sometimes you need only tell the media what has happened. For example, an interesting patient profile or a donor reaching a significant milestone. Other times, you can create your own event with media appeal, such as holding a "Are You My Type" Valentine's Day blood drive. The traditional dividing lines between PR and marketing are becoming more and more blurred, and so an integrated approach is increasingly being used to develop strategies. Philip Kotler defines integrated marketing communications as the concept under which a company carefully integrates and coordinates its many communications channels to deliver a clear, consistent message. It is also important to note that in a connected world, people will expect to be able to access a brand whenever they wish, wherever they are. There are various integrated communication tools which can be used in multiple configurations, and some of these and their key characteristics are described here. Of note is internal communication, an often neglected discipline. For blood establishments, a major touch point between the blood service and the donor is the collection team. It is vital that the brand promises made through other channels are understood by collection staff and delivered operationally through the donation experience. For some years, the marketing emphasis has been transitioning from a traditional to a digital approach, so it is important to look at the dynamics and transformation in PR and marketing. Some of the differences between traditional media marketing and digital marketing are explained here. Changes are rapid, significant, and constant, and it is therefore important to keep an eye on the digital landscape for new trends and opportunities. Some of these, such as the emergence of WhatsApp for communicating with groups of blood donors, not only provide a more efficient mechanism than traditional alternatives, but can save considerable sums of money. Because outcomes can be readily tracked, the money that is invested in digital is highly accountable. Digital marketing is defined as the promotion of products, services, and brands via one or more forms of electronic media. The diagram here shows the types of digital media marketing that can be linked to or are associated with your website to promote your activities. These include social media, email marketing, web analytics and reporting, and search engine optimization. Recommended practice is to link your website to all digital platforms used, as the website is the hub of digital marketing. It is helpful to understand some of the tools and techniques available to the digital marketer. Organizations looking to increase traffic to their website can engage in search engine optimization to ensure the links to their website sit as high as possible in the listings returned in response to a search inquiry. Content marketing is a strategic approach focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience. Social media marketing is a form of internet marketing that utilizes social networking sites as a marketing tool. This area of marketing has purpose-built data analytics tools that allow marketers to track how successful their efforts are. Email marketing is a cost-effective type of digital marketing that uses electronic mail as a delivery mechanism. It is less useful for recruiting than for retention, where the close relationship between blood service and donor means high open rates. The diagram on this slide shows some common, cost-effective digital marketing tools that will be useful to you. These include Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. These platforms allow the donor and recipient to share their stories and are useful for gathering feedback. They can help you increase brand exposure, reach new donors, retain existing donors, and efficiently track the outcomes of your marketing efforts. Web analytics is a set of tools and approaches used for the collection, analysis, and reporting of web data, as shown in the diagram. Its primary purpose is to allow marketeers to optimize activity. Importantly, this cycle of continuous improvement can take place every few hours or even minutes. This contrasts with weeks or months for more traditional media. Launching digital marketing activity without a plan or strategy is likely to lead to failure. The large number of options available, the technical complexity, and the rapid pace of technological change makes digital marketing particularly challenging. While following many of the planning pathways examined earlier, there are some additional considerations that may be beneficial in developing a digital strategy to support your recruitment program. A think tank approach, as illustrated in this graphic image, is one method you can use when developing your digital marketing strategy. You might invite your internal team to a roundtable discussion with outside experts and stakeholders, such as partners that you work with, and digital practitioners and creative types from advertising agencies. Much as donors volunteer their time, professionals are often willing to donate their expertise to the cause of saving lives. So, never be afraid to ask for support. Together, this group can generate campaign ideas and strategies. The think tank approach is particularly suited to digital activity because the breadth and rapidly evolving nature of the discipline means that expertise is less likely to reside in any single individual. Be mindful of some do's and don'ts in digital marketing, as these will otherwise hinder your efforts in coming up with an effective strategy for your recruitment activities. One is mostly a mirror image of the other. So, make sure you don't have a strategy that is independent of other activities in the organization. Don't copy and paste other people's strategies. And certainly, don't resist digital transformation. It is going to happen anyway. Once your audience has been defined, get into the mind of that audience through the customer journey map. The map increases consistency in messaging, identifies opportunities to help your audience take the next step in the journey, and also the pain points or roadblocks so that you can remove them. A sample template is provided here to help you come up with your own. Once the journey map has been delivered, develop your campaign by coming up with the title, your key message, the content, channels to be used from your customer journey map, and your call to action. A content calendar is useful for ensuring your strategy makes sense and helps you think long-term. As part of your content calendar, you should include the date of the post, author, topic, keywords, and tags to use. Please use these prompts to reflect on what you have learned. In Module 7, we will look at donor recruitment and retention with specific regard to youths.